that's so unfair. I swear. Like the moment like we hit our mid-30s and both like, oh, your shelf date, what expiry date is here or something.
It is quite unfair.
Double standard, right? Hey, it's Sonia. Welcome to another episode of Men Explain. Here's wishing you happy International Women's Day. Today, we're talking about the dreaded topic, settling down. I mean, I'm pretty sure like after the Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year time, we were, thrown at a lot of questions. When are you getting married? When are you having kids? When are you settling down? Thankfully, I was overseas, so I really avoided all those questions. But to answer that question today is my special guest, Ze Tong.
Yeah.
Tell us more about yourself.
Well, before that, I'm not here to make any announcement, just to be clear.
Yeah, just to be clear.
Well, for those of you watching this episode, my name is Ze Tong, and before joining the industry, I was actually a full-time digital marketer at a tech startup. And because of a local talent search competition called the Star Search 2019,
Yes.
I joined MediaCorp full-time, and right now I'm a full-time actor.
Very, very nice. I mean, in 2019, that was the year where you were launched into, the scene and stuff like
Yes,
that. And it was the
yes.
first time that I saw you on stage as well. I was like, damn, this guy's tall. I still remember the moment we were on stage and you're like, this is Ze Tong, he's going to be like a star, like he's going to be on the countdown show. Like, how did you feel then and then now, a couple years later, being in the industry already?
Yeah, that was crazy. I still remember the day I met you backstage. I was like, oh my God, that's the DJ that I always listen to. I was like, oh my God, that's her. And she was so friendly. I was like, oh, hi there. I was like, busy, just trying to introduce
Right.
myself. And,
Right.
and back then on stage, I still remember it was only the second month of me joining the industry.
Yeah, that
And-
must have been nerve-wracking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And everything just happened so quickly.
Yes.
In a frenzy. And I actually, frankly speaking, I didn't know what I was doing most of the time. I was like, when my manager asked me to go to this place and do something, I was like, okay, I'll just do it.
Just go.
Yeah, just go do it.
No questions asked. Just
Exactly.
go.
Most of the time, I'm not really processing. Like,
Right,
not
right.
only until like in a few months ago, a few months back, and when I start to all the dust settles and I start to think about
Yeah.
I'm a full-time actor now.
Yeah. How is that feeling? Because, obviously you got thrown into this and being a full-time actor is so different from your previous profession, right?
Yeah.
Wow, what do your friends and family have to say? I mean, this is a long-awaited catch-up, by the way. We haven't spoken, yeah.
Fortunately, the first thing is that my family is really supportive of this career switch. I did consult many people, including my family and my then manager, an ex-colleague, and also many other close friends, and a lot of them are very supportive of this change. Is actually a once in a lifetime opportunity, and many people actually wouldn't get to try this. So I was telling myself, okay, hey, why not just give this a shot and see how it goes, a few years later. I've been adapting and I've been quick to adapt, so-called.
Yeah.
The pandemic, sort of helped to ease the pace of adapting a lot. So 2 years in, I think I'm somewhat adapted to this new career, and I'm finding my, I would say, my so-called path in this industry.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's all about branding, personality, so many things you have to consider as well on top of that.
Exactly.
And congratulations, because coming up very soon, we've got the Star Awards.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Is
Thank
it
you,
Best
thank you.
Newcomer or what was the title that you were
So Best
nominated
Newcomer
for?
was last year. This year I'm nominated for the Best Supporting Male Actor role.
Nice.
2 years in, with zero background in acting,
Yeah.
to be nominated, it's a great honor.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, congratulations for that.
thank you.
Seriously, I think it's a huge accomplishment and you must feel so good about it as well, or relieved or surprised or shocked.
When I woke up that morning, my manager gave me a call, and then I was like, oh, do I need to be at somewhere again? Like, in a frenzy mode, do I need to be somewhere again? Am I late for something again?
Oh my
I
gosh.
don't remember. I was like,
Yeah.
no, it cannot be. I'm like, okay. And then she called and said, hey.
Yeah.
I said, I have a piece of good news for you. I said, oh, okay. You are nominated. What's about?
That was the face, is it?
Yeah,
We can zoom in on that later.
I just screamed so loudly in my bedroom. There was no one else in my house.
Of course, it's always like this.
Yeah.
In our best moments, no one's there to see it, I
Yeah.
swear.
So I was so happy and overjoyed. I really
Yeah.
felt like it's as if I won the award already.
Wow.
Yeah, so the first thing I did was to call my family and tell them the good news, and they were happy, they were overjoyed. They were also woken up by my news as well.
Yeah. And they are
So-
based in Malaysia. They're not. You're
Yes.
doing a long distance with your family right now, almost.
Yeah, semi-long distance, yes.
Well, hopefully they get to reunite with you. I
Yeah.
don't know, at some point. You must be missing them quite a
Yes,
bit.
yes. Fortunately, I just met them shortly after Lunar New Year.
Yeah.
I went back for a few days, in between work and stuff. So I'm glad that I'm able to catch up with them after 2 years of not
Wow,
seeing
2
them.
years of not physically seeing your family. That must be so damn tough.
Yeah.
Well, but speaking of which, you went back to visit your family during the festive period. Any talk about, hey, Ze Tong, when are you settling down? Ze Tong, got girlfriend? Do they ask you these things? Is your family typically like that, or your extended family?
Fortunately, this time around when I go back, it's way past the usual visiting, schedule of a Lunar New Year.
Purposely on,
So it's
right?
like kind of like not purposely. I was on a sabbatical.
All right. Oh my gosh, shots fired, shots fired. Yeah, no, tell me more. And then you were saying.
All the family I've seen is really just my parents, right? And they know that I'm not in a hurry to settle down because they know before joining the industry, maybe they have some thoughts on me settling down before turning 30. Okay, 30 is an arbitrary age, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
after joining the industry, they have no hopes of that happening soon because I think they do hold the traditional views of that, being in the industry meant that you can't settle down early, for the sake of like maybe your fans or your viewers or people who love you on screen.
Right.
They wouldn't want you to, get into a relationship that quickly, that fast. So to them, they sort of like accepted the fact. Yeah, so that's why during this Lunar New Year, they have not given me any pressure at all. But my elder sister is taking the full brunt of it. I hope she's not watching this. But
She's definitely watching this. I mean, you are 29 now, right? And you mentioned the whole thing about turning 30, and then society has this certain impression like, oh, you have to have your life sorted out by the time you're 30. You should be married. You should have kids. I don't know. Like back then when I was in school, like some people were like, by 27, by 28, I'm gonna be like married, and I'm gonna be a parent by 30.
yeah.
Well, guess what, guys? I'm 30 right now. Nothing has happened. So I just wanted to, address that a little bit. Do you think that is just society's view? Like, do we necessarily need to conform to that?
I once subscribed to this like Singaporean blueprint of you go through school, and then when you graduate, you find your sweetheart in university, and then you BTO first.
Right.
And then you go and buy the ring, and then you do the engagement stuff, and by 27, 28, you have your first house, and then you settle down, right? So that's the
Standard
blueprint for any Singaporean man to follow through, right?
Right.
Previously, I was a strong believer of that. I was like, because all my friends are all doing the same thing. It's not uncommon to hear your friends saying that, oh, I'm BTOing with my girlfriend, that they met in university, or even as of today, since I've skipped their blueprint altogether, it's not uncommon to hear my friends raising their second or expecting their second, or like moving to their own BTO flats right now at my age. I'm not sure why society sort of like put an arbitrary age of 30. It could be, that's the question I want to ask you. Do you feel of the pressure as a woman to just simply because there is a biological clock that's ticking away? Do you feel that the pressure is there? So 30 isn't exactly an arbitrary number. It's more like they want you to settle down and have your kids and stuff.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Wow, the tables are turned, no? Suddenly he became the interviewer. No, ask me. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think that, there is a general consensus out there. People think like, okay, maybe you got to think of your health and your fertility and all that kind of stuff as well. Because, technically, after the age of 30, you're considered, if I'm not wrong, one of my friends who has a kid, she had a kid at 35, and it's considered a geriatric pregnancy.
What's that?
Means, geriatric means old.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Literally at 35, apparently, is considered geriatric pregnancy already.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That means you're like towards
High
the
risk.
tail end of your, I don't know. But I think technology and healthcare nowadays are changing that perception a little bit. However, I've had questions from my family, obviously, and my extended family as well, asking, when is Sonia, settling down? When is she gonna, she's still so busy doing her thing and like, seemingly traveling and doing all that kind of stuff. Like, is she gonna have kids at some point? I don't know whether you agree with me, but I feel like there's so much more in our career that we have yet to explore or experience or do that at this point I can't even keep a dog. I mean, can you what I mean? Like you can't even have a pet, right? At this point.
Yes.
So that's that is how I judge things. If I can't take care of a dog, I cannot take care of a kid or a husband, that's for sure. Therefore, I feel like I need, a partner in life who is also in the same thought process, the same phase.
Of course.
Eventually you want to work there, but maybe not right now. And I think at 30, there's still so much of life left to live.
Of course.
Agree or not? Let us know in the comments. Yeah.
Before this chat, actually, I'm not sure if you're a believer of the whole society social construct of marriage and family and stuff.
Yes.
So I don't know, you seem to me that I thought you were a non-believer, but after this chat, I felt that you have some plans. Just that the
It's
plan's
a
not
mix.
now.
I recognize that sometimes we are talking through a lens where we're a little bit more fortunate to be, say, more financially stable at a certain age, you know. And I recognize that we're looking at it from a more privileged standpoint.
Of course.
But at the same time, because people need to, you know, get their house or they need to get a BTO and stuff like that. And I think that's also very important. If you're able to do that together as a couple, like honestly, that's totally fine as well. But yeah, I'm kind of like a typical Capricorn. I want to be independent and all that stuff. So it's like just the way that I am, really. So in that case, what is your definition of success and stability then? Since you're already approaching 30.
You mentioned about, you know, financial stability and, you know, the freedom of doing things. You know, my definition of success used to be achieving my life ambition, right? In my early 20s, I was this hot-headed, passionate young guy in tech. And, you know, I was following people like Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg. So my life motto back then, my life ambition, was to make a dent in the universe, right? So I want to leave a legacy, you know, after I pass, impact millions of lives, and not just like, you know, doing something small. So that was the young me in the 20s, right? But eventually, after I make the career switch, I look at success in a very different light right now. So how I see is that there are two parts to it, right? One is definitely financially. You want to be stable, you want to be free, you want to be abundant, so that you can make a lot of decisions that's not tied down financially. Of course, I'm speaking from, I would like to say, a privileged lens. But the second part of the success, actually, I want to bring in a bit more about interpersonal relationships. Be it with families, with partners, with your loved ones, with your pets even. I feel that there's also a part of it should contribute to what you define as success. No matter how big of a achievement you've made on earth, in your lives on earth, you would want there to be a group of people or someone to share your success or happiness with.
I honestly couldn't agree more. Like seriously, this International Women's Day, I think it's more than just, you know, celebrating us as women and as individuals. I think that we share a lot of similar views as well, even as men, as women, and we all celebrate kind of like the same things. Essentially, the concept of success is changing so much and it's ever evolving, right? And I like the point that you brought up about how we need to focus on like not just love-life relationships, but also relationships in all aspects and facets. And I think during my sabbatical, that was one thing that I really tried to focus on too, because as you know, in this industry, you're like constantly, sometimes you work odd hours, you work for months, you're filming and doing so many things that perhaps you feel you neglect your family or your personal relationships, right? You're always like hustling. I want to do this, I want to take up this project and stuff. And then years have gone by and then you realize like, oh damn, like I realized I didn't spend enough time, I don't know, quality time with my family and my friends. And it got me very emotional because my parents are getting old and, you know, they're approaching their late 60s and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I want to spend more time with them. But yeah, so since you're on that topic and you've defined your success, what's going to happen like when you hit 30? Do you think you feel any different moving from your 20s to your 30s?
When I'm in my early 20s, I used to think that 30 is a very, very old age. Like
Yeah, of
by
course.
30, I should have been like this. I should own this. You know, I should be this and that. So turning 30 is back then to me was a scary thought. Like, oh my god, 30 feels old.
Big.
Yeah, exactly. But right now, I'm at the edge of like reaching 30.
Yeah.
I actually feel that, you know, 30 is really the point where all the good things happen, I feel. So I'm
Is
even
it?
more excited to
Okay.
hit 30. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just an arbitrary number of years you live on Earth, right? But I feel that there'll be a lot more exciting stuff happening in my 30s than in my 20s. Because in my 20s, there's a lot more insecurities,
Figuring
a lot
out,
more
yeah.
uncertainties, a lot more anxieties. You're not really sure who you want to be and you're still trying things out. Whereas going to my 30s, I feel that I'm going in with a very stable choice or a stable path. Not say stable.
more comfortable with
more
yourself.
comfortable with
Right.
myself, and also there'll be a lot more exciting things that's gonna happen. So that's why I'm more excited about my 30s compared to what I thought I would be in my early 20s.
What were some things you were insecure about in your 20s, if you don't mind sharing?
I think a lot of it has to tie down to my career.
Right.
I think every night, you know, you lose sleep overthinking like, okay, is this the right thing to do? Or
Yeah.
like, am I in the right path? Or should I be attempting to do something else? Because you're just so afraid. You're just so afraid of losing your youth on something that's not worthwhile, right?
Yeah.
Straight out of the gate of education system, you want to make sure that you're on par,
Yeah.
or like you're not lagging behind. So I think that fear or that crippling fear is what that holds you back to really explore different paths.
Yeah.
But after a while, you realize that, hey, the competition is really not with the people beside you. It's just with yourself.
Exactly.
And how you...
comparing, sorry to interrupt, but comparing yourself to others brings you no happiness, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think in my early 20s, there's a lot of that. Like, oh my God, my friends are in the banks, they're all from business schools. They're doing really, really high flyer lives.
Yeah, propose already, gonna have first kid. Like,
exactly. I'm like, okay, what am I doing here? Still bumming around.
Yeah.
So I would say a lot of insecurities and anxieties that stretches into like a lot of sleepless nights. Reaching the late 20s, there's a lot more reassurance.
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's okay. I can take my time. I can be in my own race, and I just need to know where I want to hit to, and I just need to know what's being written in my eulogy, right? So...
Wow, what? Wait, that escalated super quickly. What happened?
Yeah. When me and my friends always discuss like the meaning of life, we love to have this kind of discussions.
Okay.
Maybe it's a quarter life crisis, or maybe a midlife crisis. I'm not sure.
Oh, it's actually a weekly crisis for us. For me and my girlfriends, we sit down for hours and we talk about the meaning of life. But please tell me your meaning of life. I'm down.
Yeah. So no, in that case, then we will say that to find the answer to that, we just start from the end, right?
Yeah.
And just say that at the end, what do you want people to think about you or think of you at your deathbed? What do you want people to write on your eulogy, right?
Oh, so serious,
from there, then you think. I mean, it's a bit morbid to start your work today, but I think that's how you can think back and work backwards and think, okay, what do I really want to achieve in this short few decades on Earth, right? Yeah. So I think that's how we got the reassurance and felt a lot more calm and at peace with ourselves. Yeah. To know that we know what we are going for and we are comfortable with our own pace.
For sure. I mean, I know some friends who are young, around your age or even younger, who already know that they want to be a dad. Like, they already know that that's their life goal, or eventually they want to raise their kids and stuff like that. So, the thing about it is, I think for society, there's not as much pressure on men to settle down. Like you mentioned earlier on about the biological clock and stuff like that. But to me, like, men age like fine wine or something. Like, I don't know, like, you guys get more attractive when you get older. So why? That's so unfair. I swear, like, the moment like we hit our mid-30s and both like, oh, your shelf date, expiry date is here or something. I don't know what people say. But then for men, when you guys get older, they're like, wow, he's getting so distinguished looking, or like, he looks so much better. Charismatic, you see.
A lot more manlier.
That's why.
In the 40s, Yeah, actually, I feel that it is quite unfair.
Double standard, right? It's damn unfair. It's so unfair.
What about you? What do you think of you being in your 30s? You just passed.
So I just turned 30 recently, and to be honest, I woke up on the day of my birthday and felt the same. I didn't feel any different. I don't know why. Because some of my friends who turned 30, I think it's the concept of it. Like, you change the first digit, of your age. Club. Yeah, and it feels huge, right? And some of them had meltdowns, like, they're like, oh my God, like, what am I doing with life at 30? But I think also coupled together with the fact that I've been working for a very long time. As you would know if you've been watching this show for a very long time, you know that I love working and I tie a lot of my self-worth with that, which sometimes is not very healthy as well. But I think due to the fact that I've been working for so long, it almost doesn't feel like turning 30 was even a thing or an event to me anymore. But as I reflected on turning 30 a little bit more, I think my focus started to shift towards making sure that my parents, my family, my immediate family has a better life moving forward. And how do I assure that that can happen? Because I think I focused too much on my career and myself, development in my career over the past few years, especially in the recent 5-6 years, that everything's going by in a flash and you don't stop to smell the roses at all. That was my realization turning 30, that time goes by super fast. Don't waste another minute. That was my realization.
Because you always come off to me as a person who knows exactly what you want in life, and you have a very clear direction, and therefore you go out there and live life to the fullest, right? So I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this video are envious of the life you're living. So I'm just curious, like, do you already have a very clear goal and direction in what you want to do with your life? Or
Yeah, it's so funny because I know everyone thinks that of me. I mean, for some reason, I am a very driven person when it comes to work. Okay, that is for sure. I do set goals for myself, but this year I didn't. Funnily enough, I didn't set any goals in the beginning of the year. I was
No
like,
New Year resolutions.
I'm
Yeah?
just gonna live my life. Of course, in a measured way, lah. Money is finite. Like we cannot
Yeah,
just go.
of course.
We can't just enjoy like every
Of
single
course,
day.
of course.
We gotta come back and hustle. But I think it's okay sometimes to be in between. I read this somewhere recently in a book. Being in between sometimes, you panic because you're like, I'm neither here nor there. I'm not at the place that I wanted to be, and I don't know where I'm supposed to be, and I don't know what I want in life. Every phase of life that you move into, or every year that goes by, what you want kind of changes in a way. Like you may be very clear, like, oh yeah, I want to do this with my career in the next 2 years, or I want to be a mom. As the years come by, it's okay for the things that you want to change, I feel. But that's my take on it. Sometimes taking it as it comes puts less mental pressure on yourself, and stop comparing yourself to people. I think that's the most important thing.
Number one thing, yeah.
I want to switch gears a bit and draw your attention to a quote that was actually quite infamous, that went all over online. Now, there was an infamous dialogue between the late Mr. Lee Kuan Yew and Ms Joan Sim. She was then PhD student in NTU. He urged Ms Sim not to waste time with a PhD anymore, that getting a boyfriend or partner is more important and satisfying than your PhD. Well, I mean, he didn't say it with any malicious intent, obviously, right? But it's sort of casual words maybe in the past, of a past mindset that could linger on. And I don't know whether some of that mindset still is around. What do you think?
I don't know, maybe when he said that, that morning he had a meeting about birth rates in Singapore, so that triggered him in the afternoon too. I don't know, I'm just giving some wild, I'm just letting my imaginations run wild. Please don't come after me. I think, of course, it's a passing remark that he didn't expect it to have such a impact. It ties back to a lot to what you have just said, like everyone has their own path and everyone has their own choices, and there isn't really like is this better or is that better?
Yeah, and I've seen, women who can have it all, the career, the education, and the family eventually at some point, right?
Sonia would be the...
I mean, maybe be my guest again in 5 years. We'll see whether I pop the baby by then, but I really don't know.
Important announcement.
No. You can choose to answer this or not, but are you dating at this point in time? It can be cut out as well if you are not comfortable.
I'm not married, therefore I'm single.
What a vague answer! Oh my gosh.
If the government forms ask me to fill up, I'll be like, yeah, I am single.
Okay,
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah,
I
okay.
need to zoom in on those eyes later on and see the true answer behind. But do you ever catch yourself in moments where you feel that you're afraid of being single past a certain age? Or does that not bother you at all?
Yeah, that, to be honest, hasn't bothered me at all.
So you're okay if you're single in your older years?
That's the thing. I haven't really thought so far into like the years ahead, like when I in my 50s or 60s, if I'm still alone and by myself. I always assume that there will be a partner that I spend my life with. It's just not now, maybe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think so far ahead, like, okay, would I die alone or like live alone at the end?
Yeah.
But being single has its own perks and benefits.
Yeah.
No, that's not what I meant. But what I really want to say is that you got to spend time with yourself and you really let your thoughts settle, and then you can do things that you can truly, I would say, love yourself and understand the meaning of like what it means to be with yourself, be at ease, have a meal alone.
Yeah.
Okay, you probably haven't experienced that in a long while, but have a meal alone.
I have.
Go
Do
to
you eat
movie
alone?
yourself.
Do you eat alone?
Yeah, I eat alone.
Okay. I eat alone sometimes too.
Yeah, and no, the thing is like I go to, let's say I walk past a restaurant and it's a steamboat place. It's like, I feel like having steamboat for lunch, and then just walk in and say table for one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if there's a movie that I like to watch, I'm like, okay, I'll just get the ticket for one and I just want to watch a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually not that hard to do things alone, guys.
It's quite liberating, I would say, right?
Yes. I know you're in a very blissful relationship, but are you afraid of being single at the end of your life? I mean, touch wood. I mean, I hope things are working well for you and your partner.
Okay.
Yeah, but
touching all the wood. I'm kidding.
But what do you think of that?
Actually, I had this very in-depth conversation with some of my friends recently. And, I think this is also related to an episode that we did with Jason Godfrey a few eps ago, where we discussed what if friends and not marriage is the center of our lives, right? Instead of, always concentrating on worrying about getting married, settling down, having kids and all that. What if we just live life, and if we don't get married, we don't get married, we just have our closest friends. And we decided that if we ever were to be single at some age, we'll just all get like one big house and move in together and take care of each other.
Oh,
that's my backup plan if things don't work out. But of course, we say this jokingly and we laugh about it and all. But I think at the heart of things, most of us are afraid to be alone to some extent. You know, in some of my friends' parents who, unfortunately one of them passes on, or, maybe divorce and stuff like that. And sometimes it's very saddening to see as well. Like, they obviously want to be independent and you want to, live a nice life and all, but eventually, do you want companionship, in your golden years of life? I think, to me, I definitely want someone to do life with.
Yeah.
Regardless of having the label of married couple or not, having someone to do life with is something nice, right?
I think having someone to just be there with you, to do everything with you, and to laugh at your bad jokes, or to
That's for sure.
or to do things that no other friends would do with you. I think that's definitely something that.
Yeah, or someone to hear you scream when you win your next star. Nobody around me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
don't remind me.
Gosh, yeah. So, naturally, we would feel certain stresses when it comes to the thought of being alone at the end of it all, right? And I think for some people as well who are maybe more accepting of the fact, like, hey, maybe I'm single at a certain age already. I just have to accept that I'm going to be alone forever. But I feel like there is never an age where you stop finding someone.
What's it called? Sunset love or something?
Sunset love.
There's a Chinese saying. It's called 黄昏之恋.
Teach me some Mandarin, please. 黄昏之恋.
黄昏之恋 it refers to romance that's happening in their 50s or their 60s, in the retirement
so
age.
sweet.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
possible because, like, say maybe one of their spouses, they're divorced or they're widow. So in that case, then they can embark on this 黄昏之恋. And I feel that no matter at what age you are, you can actually, if you want, and you would like to find a companion, I think there's no holding back. Don't just feel that you're of a certain age plus a number, and therefore you don't qualify to experience romance again.
That is so poetic, to be honest. I don't know, like, English is not so poetic sometimes. Like, sunset love, that is so sweet.
Yeah.
Channel 8, this is your next drama, man. Like, cast this guy. Anything you want to tell Channel 8 now, must say, Like,
Right, yeah.
Anyway, moving on to, I think, something past marriage when, you have kids and stuff like that. Have you ever thought and maybe felt a bit concerned, like, what if you get married and then you cannot have kids? Like, you have this idea that, okay, I'm going to get married and have kids, and then what if cannot?
Yeah,
Have you thought about that, or
I've always
worried about
seen
that?
these two concepts of marriage and kids to be the same thing. So
Right? Yeah, you bundle them up together,
exactly,
right?
like when you're married, then it's time to settle. Because at the Chinese New Year, people ask you're married, and once you're married, then they ask, like,
when you're having kids.
Exactly, they just have never-ending of
What is
questions.
that? What is the phrase with is it 早生贵子?
Yeah, 早生贵子.
Oh my god, I got it right!
Yes,
Woo!
good job.
Yes, finally, yeah.
Yeah, so I never thought about these two issues separately.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Exactly. I haven't got myself checked up.
Yeah.
I hope
I don't
it's,
think you need to yet, I guess.
But I feel with the technology advancements in fertility, if a couple would really want to raise a kid or have a kid of their own, it shouldn't be that big of an issue as of today. I feel. What about you? Like, have you?
Yeah.
Will you be
Have I thought
afraid?
about it?
Yeah, I've thought about it.
I've seen some people on Instagram, like friends that I follow and stuff, who have done IVF, and I have to say, I salute you guys. Obviously, I don't know the step by step on what needs to be done, but it is a painful process, emotionally painful as well, and I think you have to have a lot of resilience and determination for that to happen. And the thing is, sometimes it may not even work, and you have to do it again. Obviously, I can't speak from anyone's perspective or point of view because I'm not in their shoes, but I can imagine for a couple that's trying so hard to conceive that is a very, it could be a very emotionally draining process as well. Do you feel like I am getting married so that we can have kids and a family, or it's okay if we get married and not have kids?
Raising a kid could be one of your biggest legacies that you can leave behind. I am actually the guy who subscribes to the traditional, family values.
Yeah.
So, getting married to me would mean that, starting a family of my own.
Yes.
So that would mean, having my kids. So that's why, to me, it's something that I would see myself doing.
Right.
Should my partner say no? It's like,
Yeah, exactly. But what if you really love this person?
Yeah, okay.
Then how? Like, you're torn, but your partner's like, nah, I don't want a kid.
I think that would be a very long ongoing debate with me and my partner to discuss whether we should have a kid or not. I would really have to go very in-depth debate on like why she doesn't would not like to have a kid. I think that would be a very tough
Conversation to have.
yes, very tough conversation to have. So yeah, what about you?
I hope my parents don't watch this. But I entertain the thought of getting married or settling down or having a companion, a life companion, but I don't necessarily need to have kids. My perspective changes along the way. Like
Okay, of course.
some years I'm like, yeah, I can see it happening, but some years I'm like, I don't necessarily need to have it. And then maybe I'll check in with myself again in 3 or 4 years and see where I'm at in terms of that. Like you said, it's very rewarding for some women are like, wow, this was the most amazing experience of my life. Some have tough pregnancies and they don't want to do it again. But I think also it comes from a point of it's so expensive also to raise a kid here in Singapore.
I know,
And
right?
sometimes, my friends and I also debate, is it like a narcissistic thing to think like I want to leave behind like a good human being
That
that
carries my-
represents me. So I'll figure it out along the way. And if you're watching this and you're also figuring out, it's okay. To conclude it all, now that you've already, you're approaching your 30s, and you mentioned earlier on that 30 initially was that age where you're like, oh, it's the ideal age.
Yeah.
But now you're approaching it. So do you have a new and refreshed timeline
Yeah.
of when you see yourself settling down and having a family?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with like at what point is me and my partner or would-be partner feel ready at the point of time, right? So I don't give myself like an exact timeline.
Yeah.
But right now, as of last year, there's a lot of good announcements happening in my company, right? So a lot of people are getting hitched and getting getting married. So a good thing is that they are setting the example that you don't have to wait until your 40s
Yes.
to settle down and to get hitched. So following their footpaths, maybe in my 30s, I might have an announcement for everyone. I might. I'm not saying that I will, but I might. I'm just in my 30s. I don't know.
Like 31 or 39?
No.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
31 or 39?
I'm thinking maybe mid or late 30s. I would say. Yeah, late 30s.
Okay. So on that note, obviously, it's been such an in-depth conversation that we had today, and I think we also saw a new side to you. Thank you so much
Thanks for having me.
giving so much opinions, and you were so chatty and you were so giving in terms of your knowledge and your your thoughts and stuff like that on live.
Just brain farting.
If this is the quality of your brain farts, we're gonna have you here all the time.
Please have me back for more episodes.
100%. But obviously, before we let you go, just some concluding thoughts as well. Like, I think certain things that we picked out from during our conversation, what I liked that you mentioned was forging your own path.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to just, leave our viewers with some parting thoughts on that?
As much as we have our own timelines, and like Sonia and I, and we both have changing timelines,
Yes.
according to the state we are in. So I feel that everyone can also have your own timeline, and even if it changes, a few years down the road, I think it's fine because you are walking your own path in the end, and you're in your own race.
I think when it comes to forging your own path, like you mentioned earlier on, sometimes it just breaks society's expectations of you, or which is totally fine, by the way. Like I mentioned, okay to be in the in-between sometimes. It's okay to not always have it figured out. Because I used to be such a control freak and like I must figure out like what I want to do by the end of this year. But I'm always so like that, But I think having the time to sit down and think about it too, I'm like, maybe I should just let the reins go a little bit because it's constantly changing, and where you want to be and what you want may change depending on where you're at in that year as well. So don't take it too hard on yourself. If you like this episode, you like what you heard and watched, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.
Exactly. If you have any comments or any opinions on what we have chatted today, leave them in the comment section below.
See you next time.
See you!